All right, well, let's get started. The first book that I want to talk about is Jeff Olson's book, The Slight Edge. It's an incredible book. I would give it a 3.5-star rating. As far as readability, I would actually give it 5 stars because by the stories that he tells and the things that he talks about, it makes it so incredibly understandable and simple in concept. It's not that heavy in content, so it's not one of those books that's going to have you wrecking your brain trying to figure out how to do it. He actually makes it very simple. And there are certain disciplines that all of us can add to our life. And so The Slight Edge is a book about how very simple things done consistently can actually create breakthrough opportunities in the future. One of the best way he describes it is in one of the stories that he uses. He talks about an old man who found out he was about to die. And so he brought two of his sons. He had twin boys that were both 21 years of age. And he said, before I die, I want to will to you a gift. And the first son, he says to him, you can choose which gift you want. He says, but I can't tell you what to choose. And he says, but I don't want you to decide tonight. I want you to come back to me in the morning and determine what gift you want. And he says, I'll give you a briefcase with $1 million in it, or in the other briefcase, I'll give you a penny. Now, this seems like a pretty obvious choice for most. And so one son says, well, I made up my mind right away. But the caveat was that with the penny, it would double in value every single day for 30 days. And so the one son woke up early in the morning and says, Dad, all right, I'm ready. Let me get my $1 million. And so he says, are you sure about your choice? He says, absolutely. So he slides him the briefcase for $1 million. And the other son says, you know, Dad, I've really been thinking about this and I want to choose the case of a penny. And I know I have to wait for 30 days, but I'll take the wait. And so by day 2, the first son was off spending his money. He was off buying things, and he got him some financial investors, some very smart people around him. Says, I want you to figure out how to make more money with the money that I have. And the other son only had 2 cents. By day 3, it was 4 cents. And so about 3 weeks into this, the first son is feeling pretty good. He's got all this money. And sure, he sees his brother's money compounding from $3,000 to $6,000, but that's really not a big deal at this point. But at the end of 30 days, when the father calls them both together, the difference between the valuation is the one son had lost some, and the other son had over $10,700,000 from a penny. And that's the premise behind The Slight Edge. Most people spend so much time going after the big wins that they don't understand the discipline of driving the small wins in order to create the big win. And he talks about things like the book that talks about the millionaire next door, how many people just doing the right things financially have become extremely successful. In your learning and your growth and development, what if you read for just 10 minutes a day? How would that impact your life? See, we don't do things because we think we don't see the result at the end of the tunnel. And it's one of those things that says that the good becomes the enemy of the great. And so we keep doing good things rather than disciplining ourselves to do the great things. And so we hurt ourselves. We diminish our ability and our capacity to greatness by constantly being active and busy doing things that won't win us any major achievements, won't do us any favors in the long run. And so the challenge for us in The Slight Edge is, how do successful people do things? They don't do the big things. They do a lot of the right things, and they do them long enough until they become extremely profitable. And maybe money isn't your thing. Maybe you aren't looking to be a financial genius, but maybe you want to have an impact before you leave the earth. You want to have something of significance to demonstrate it. And so what The Slight Edge can do for you, it shows you how to turn all of these disciplines consistently, doing the right thing over and over again, to in fact impact millions of more people than you would by just reaching out every once in a while. We go through emotional cycles where some days we give 100%, other days we give 10. And the challenge is not to give 100 and not to one day give 10. What if you consistently just gave 1% a day? And you kept doing it over and over and over again. It reminds me of the Stephen Covey story when he was talking about sharpening the saw in the 7 Habits, and he says, one guy is busy sawing away, sawing away, sawing away. And another guy walks up to him and says, it looks like you got a dull saw there. Why don't you stop and sharpen your saw? He says, what are you talking about, dum-dum? I'm trying to chop a tree down. And some people are so busy in the busy work that they don't take time to do the right things enough to make a difference. If you want a book that's going to make a difference in your life and talk about and cultivate that hunger for doing the right things in order to create the great results, The Slight Edge is your book. And we can look through different parts of this book that talks about your philosophy, because your philosophy creates your attitude, which your attitude creates your actions, and your actions create your results, and your results create your life. And so the challenge for all of us will be, until we change our philosophy, stop going after the big wins. It's the slight edge. It's doing the right things over and over and over again that's going to make you great. Thanks so much.